Unreal Engine 5.2 release is now available. I performed the usual landscape import test on it, and it is still limited to height maps no larger than 16384 by 16384. Anything larger than 16K results in a getMax 2D texture error. So it looks like Epic is limiting their open world landscape size to 16K by 16K, unless you do the import tile stamping method that I outline in World Partition Video 10. Newegg Canada is now showing DDR5 server memory, but not in 128 gig or 256 gig RDIMMs yet, which is what I require for my workstation upgrade. I sure hope that this level of workstation hardware makes it into Canada at some time. I really need a computer with 512 gigs plus of memory for my work with TerreSculptor. If I start with 128 gig RDIMMs, then the motherboard can handle 1 terabyte of memory in its 8 DIMM slots. Speaking of TerreSculptor, the software now has a command line interpreter in it. This CLI can be used for auto-loading project and terrain files on startup, and for conversion of more than 65 height map file formats. Using command line batch files, it's really easy to loop over all the files in a folder and convert them from one file format to another. The reference manual includes multiple batch file examples for batch conversion of files. The upcoming VBasic system will also allow you to batch convert files using a for loop and a file access commands right within the main editor. TerreSculptor also has a number of updates on the Mapper Dem Explorer, improving the Earth Preview navigation, the tile performance, and the available download resolutions. On many DEM repository websites, you might have seen the acronyms DTM and DSM for the files that are available to download. DTM is Digital Terrain Model, which is the actual terrain elevation data minus the vegetation, buildings, and roads. DSM is Digital Surface Model, which also includes such features as trees and roads. So for height map usage in video game engines and 3D rendering, you typically want the DTM to get just the terrain height map. When searching for DEMs for use with video game engines, such as Unity and Unreal Engine, you preferably want 1 meter data. That is the spatial size of the elevation sample cells, which can be thought of as square bitmap pixels. Some of the USGS sites and UK sites have 1 meter data. Most world sites, however, are 30 meter or even 90 meter low-resolution data. TerreSculptor includes a DEM sites listing dialog that I use to manage a list of current sites. This dialog gets updated when I find new data sources. So use 1 meter data if the game design is for first-person and third-person games, driving and racing games, or any other type of game where the player is close to the surface of the terrain. For games where the player is at a higher altitude above the surface of the terrain, such as flight simulators, then 10 meter or 30 meter DEM data may suffice. DEM file data headers don't have consistent information and are based on whatever the publisher of the site or file set uses, or by the specific GIS software definitions. This makes it extremely difficult to extract common information or even usable information for TerreSculptor's purposes. You almost need separate set management code for each site, such as SRTM, NED, etc., and each GIS software, such as QGIS, etc. I am investigating the best way to manage this in TerreSculptor, including using DEM-filed metadata where available. TerreSculptor is becoming a sort of a mix between a GIS application and a video game and TV film terrain application. I have noticed that there are more subscription or account-based DEM sites popping up, such as Mapbox and Mapzen. The data available varies in resolution, but it is usually guaranteed to be void-filled in most regions. I have recently integrated free DEM retrieval into TerreSculptor with the new Mapper DEM Explorer, so that retrieving DEM data is now built right into the software. The data is similar to the MapZen, Tangram, TileZen, and NextZen systems. Yes, there are a lot of them, in that it is mixed resolution, typically from 3 meter to 30 meter across the Earth. That wraps up this episode. You've been watching Tech Talk with Demenzun Media. Please consider subscribing to the channel to help me in the YouTube algorithm.